Hey guys, it's Joe Carrell. Welcome to another episode of In the Mix. Today we're going to further our discussion about drums. We're going to talk about what we're doing in the control room to capture the sounds and listen to some raw samples. Okay, so you may remember back in episode number 5, I took a walk through my drum microphone technique and setup that I've been using on some of these songs you've been hearing. What I want to do today is continue our discussion on drums. I want to talk about, on this side of the glass in the control room, what I did with microphone preamplifiers, compressors, equalizers, things like that. And then I want to come back and I want to play you the raw sounds that we captured that day. All right, let's talk about what we're doing on this side of the glass for the drums. I'm using on the kick side, on the kick inside mic, I'm using the WA-73 preamp with EQ, and I do have the EQ engaged. I'll show you the settings here. Basically, I'm carving a couple dB, probably around 4 or so, at 360 cycles out. The reason is, rather than adding something on the way in, it's different sometimes at mix, but I like to capture the sound pretty natural. So I'm using a subtractive EQ. Cutting that frequency takes the low end of the kick drum and the attack of the kick drum and makes them seem more prominent, even though I'm not actually enhancing them. For the low end though, I am getting a little lift. One secret to some of these older style high pass filters is that wherever you set the cutoff frequency, there was actually a little bit of a resonant peak, a little boost there. So I'm actually setting the high pass filter for 50 cycles, which is actually enhancing the low end punch by it's noticeable. So I'm not adding any with the EQ, just engaging the high pass filter. So that's a little trick for you to try. Okay, and then I'm actually going into the WA-2A tube compressor and getting a couple dB of compression. Just tickling the meter, no more than 2. No more than 2. It's a slow, they have a slow release, and that the fact that the compression doesn't release all the way before the next hit happens is actually the sound that I'm after. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about the outside kick drum mic, which is a WA-47 Junior. I've got it hitting the preamp, the Warm Audio 412, and that's all I'm doing. Other than I am taking the EQ. I've got an API 550B over here, and I'm cutting a little bit of low mid out of it, okay? So then let's talk about snare drums. I've got a top and bottom snare mic. The top snare mic is hitting the WA-73 preamp and EQ. I do have a little EQ going on. Basically what I like to do is I set the high pass filter for 80 cycles. Again, going back to what I talked about on the kick drum, it creates a little sensation, just a little extra boost at 80 cycles of low end. Then I actually, sometimes, at least today I was, I'm adding just a touch of 100, 110 I think is actually the setting on here. So a little bit of that. And then from song to song, it was varying, but I was finding myself adding a couple dB of 10K sometimes on the top mic. Sometimes I was running the top completely flat. I don't like to overdo the EQ or compression when tracking. I want to get a good natural sound that me or whoever is mixing it later can take it whatever direction they need to. And then I do have the top snare drum mic going through the DBX 160 VU here, vintage model, and I've got it set to 3-to-1. And I'm just moving the needle just a little bit. I just like what it does to it. It is causing some compression, don't get me wrong, but I'm not hammering it very hard, but still it does a pleasing, pleasant thing to the sound. Okay, so the bottom snare drum mic is also hitting the WA-412 preamp, and then it's jumping over here, and I'm getting a little bit of EQ. All I'm doing is adding a touch of snap from the strainer. I mean, like 2 dB. Is all, not much EQ. And then it is also hitting a second DBX 160 VU and getting just a little bit of compression, 3-to-1, just like I was doing on the top, okay? Let's talk about the hi-hat. I'm going to the WA-412, no EQ, no compression whatsoever, just basically setting the gain to where I want it to hit, and I'm done with that guy. All right, so let's talk about overheads for a minute. Overheads, I jump over here to this WA412, and no EQ whatsoever. Both songs that I recorded today, I had the WA14s on overheads, and I had the WA84s on overheads. I don't need any EQ whatsoever. Maybe at mix, I can brighten them up, add some bottom end, whatever. But for today, they sounded amazing raw, and there's no EQ or compression on either one of those. All right, let's talk about tom-toms. I'm hitting for the front end, I'm hitting the WA412. I love what it does to tom-toms. And then I'm jumping down and hitting an API 550A EQ. I'm adding a couple dB of 100 cycles, and I'm actually removing a couple dB. It looks like about 6 dB of mids. And that varies from drum to drum. I see some guys just always go to a certain setting. Hey, I cut 250, that's what I do. I cut 400, that's what I do. For me, it varies. Every different drum set, it changes. And even from the size of the tom, what I do to the 10-inch or the 12-inch tom isn't necessarily what I'm gonna do to the 16, right? But today, for whatever reason, I found myself, and this is a bit higher than I normally do, but right around 1K is what I was cutting. And I wasn't adding any high end whatsoever. And there's no compression on them. Okay, for room mics, I was hitting the Warm Audio WA12, and then I was hitting this this vintage Uri 1178. Now this is the spaced pair of Omni mics, the WA47 Juniors. So it's hitting this stereo 1178 and getting a few dB of compression, the slowest attack setting, the fastest release setting. Just a few dB is all I was needing. There's no EQ whatsoever. This room, it's an amazing sounding room. I don't need an EQ on the room mics. All right, then I had, you recall, I had two different mono room mics going. My distant mic, my WA47, I'm hitting the Warm Audio WA412, and that is it. There's no compression, there's no EQ whatsoever, okay? Okay, for the second mono mic that I have going on, that ribbon mic that you've seen out there, I have it going through the Warm WA73, no EQ whatsoever. I am hitting compression with it. I'm hitting the WA76 down here. I've got the release set, the fastest it'll go, and I've got the attack set right around 9 o'clock. And it was a 4-to-1 ratio. I was just getting a few dB of compression. That's all I needed. That's all I was, I can. The thing about compression on room mics and things like that, you can always add more later. You cannot undo it. So I always err. If I'm going to err, I'm going to err on the side of safety and a little, lighter compression that I may need in the final mix. And that is it. That's all I have going on this side of the glass. Okay, so we're back in the control room, and what I've been getting a lot of requests for is you guys want to hear not just the finished mix, but some of the raw sounds. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the drums and let you hear them, individually. So this is the complete raw, unmixed track. Okay, and I'm going to do just drums. Okay, to me that's an incredible sound. It gives me as a mixer, or if I'm recording this and sending it to another mixer, I'm completely confident that me or anyone else can take it anywhere we want to go. It's very warm, it's very rich, it's thick, it's round. I haven't painted me or anybody else into a corner, using tons of high-end EQ, tons of compression. We can take this anywhere we want to go. Okay, so let's listen to the kick drum. You remember this is a combination of a couple mics, B52 on the inside, and just outside a Warm Audio FET 47. This is the two of them together. Whoops, wrong thing here. Okay, that's the bass drum. Let's listen to the snare drum. I'm going to play just the top, and then we'll talk about the bottom mic, okay? This is a SM57 on the top. Okay, great sound. I've received several comments about that snare drum, and it's funny because that's like the cheapest snare drum I own. It came with a cheap drum kit. That drum would probably sell used for 40 bucks, and it's still got the original heads, you know, from probably 15, 20 years ago. But in the hands of a master like Scott Williamson, you know, anything can sound great, and going through warm audio gear, right? So here's the bottom microphone. This is a snare SM57. Okay, just capturing that snare rattle, that strainer rattle. So let me turn that back down a bit and let you hear the two of them together. See, a lot of guys, you know, maybe don't use bottom mics, you know, maybe they're limited on inputs or whatever, but that's what it allows me to do. It gives me a lot of flexibility to add that snare rattle and strainer, you know, snap into the sound. Okay, let's talk about hi-hat. I use the WA-84 because you know, of course, small diaphragm condensers sound fantastic on hi-hats, especially the WA-84 because it's not overly transient rich. It's not, you know, super sharp. That transformer rounds some of that stuff for me. So here this guy is. Okay, I want to point out it's not overly filtered. Did you hear how I didn't high pass filter everything up to like 600 cycles or something? There is low frequency content there. And again, on the high end, I may have EQ'd added a little high end, but not much. So it's nice and raw. All right, so here is the overheads. On this particular song, I was using the WA-14s. Okay, here we go. Okay, the WA-14s, the WA-84, two of my absolute favorite microphones in existence for overheads. You remember from the video from episode number 5, I'm miking the kit, I'm not miking cymbals. The cymbals are gonna come by nature because they're closest to the microphones and they're obnoxiously loud. Okay, let's talk about tom-toms. Let me find a place where they both play. Here we go. Okay, so these were WA-14s that day on the toms for Elle. Here they are. And one more time. Just a nice, big, full sound. I can, you know, EQ some high end in there, take a little bit more of the low mid out, but it sounds big and impressive, you know, nice in the drummer's headphones. Okay, let's talk about ambient mics. If you've seen episode 5, you'll remember I had 3 different types of ambient mics set up. I'm going to play you the first was a spaced pair in Omni of 47 Juniors. One of my favorite mics for that application. Here we go. Okay, that there is a handful, you know, dB of compression with a Uri 1178, a vintage, you know, like almost like a double 1176. If you guys aren't familiar with that piece of gear, but no, it's not overly heavy-handed, you know, heavy-handed as you can hear. All right, here's I had a WA-47 pointing away from the drum kit. No EQ, no compression whatsoever. Okay, that's that microphone. And here is, I had a ribbon mic. You remember from episode number 5, I called it a kit mic or a junk mic, a GAC mic, kind of in between the snare and the kick drum, hi-hat, you know, combo. This is that guy. And he actually has several dB of compression through a WA-76, okay? You can use almost any microphone you want to for an application like that because you're going to filter it, you're going to distort it, you're going to compress it. I had the Cascade Gomez ribbon mic, and you'll hear there's no EQ on that at all. But that's why that mid-range tone with not very much high end on it. That's why ribbon mics are a really good choice for that kind of a thing. Okay, so let me show you one more time the full kit sound, and then I'm going to unsolo them and let you hear the complete raw Elle Sera song with, this is the raw tracks, no processing at all. Okay, I'm really happy with that sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off for now. I just wanted to show you the raw sound and how I captured in the control room. In an upcoming episode, I know I've got a lot of requests for this as well. I'm going to break down, I'm going to start with a raw sound like this, and I'm going to walk you through the mix process. Okay, later. Okay friends, I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you would, do me a favor, follow Warm Audio on their social media pages like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, for all the current news about our program. As well, if you would, follow me on my Instagram and Facebook at In The Mix with Joe Carrell. I'm going to give extra content and stuff that I hope you guys will enjoy. Okay, now for Elle Sera singing Beautiful Girl.
The many sides of you and the things I still don't know yet. There's a world undiscovered, and I may never know the half of it. Walk through the in the rain again, 'cause every time out on the other end, stronger than steel, heart full of gold, gonna come around again. More than your name, more than your skin, 'cause baby, that's all for sure. Isn't too much of anything, worth much of anything, as much as your soul. So why waste your time?